All right, good evening. Welcome to the October 15th Berlin Board of Education meeting. It is 6:37. We are going to call this meeting to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so before we start our student presentation, I just want to acknowledge and recognize this is Tracy Sisti and Adam Selena's last meeting. They've sat alongside me on the board and the rest of us for the past 7 years and months. We've been arguing how many months in addition to the 7 years. And, you know, thank you for your time, service, and dedication to the board. You will be missed. So would anyone else like to say anything before they?
We don't have to go through all this. The kids are here.
And thank you to Mrs. Selena for coming out tonight to support Adam in his last meeting. He does appreciate it. All right, so if there's nothing else, we're going to turn this over to the student presentation. Emma Hart Willard School is going to present for us this evening.
Principal Severini, if you could come up and introduce your staff.
Good evening, everyone. So my name is Tim Severini. I'm privileged to serve as the principal of Emma Hart Willard Elementary School. Joining me this evening are 5 incredibly talented faculty members, our grade 5 team, Amanda Weinstein, Tricia Ratty, and Jen Sulo, and our math specialists, Anna Bennett and Sherry Lebowski. The presentation that you will see this evening is a result of the hard work, collaboration, and dedication of our classroom teachers and our math specialists. That said, as you know, we've been hard at work as a district enhancing teaching practices in mathematics through our work with building thinking classrooms. Our goals are to make learning accessible to all, to provide space to students to wrestle with problems, and to explore and encourage multiple solution pathways to problems, and to promote mathematical discourse and collaboration. I'm proud to say that we have 6 very talented grade 5 students here with us tonight to demonstrate the work we are doing with students in mathematics. Students, when I say your names, please come up to the podium. Carter Pope. Quinn Praviti. Ben Lipovsky. Gia Cole. Lucian Hammond, and Jax Andrukowitz. Let me just say, I really hope our board members love fractions. Just want to say. See some of you hanging your head. But if you do not be concerned, because in a few moments, you'll be rolling up your sleeves to solve a real-world problem, and your learning will be in the hands of these 6 skilled mathematicians who will act as your teachers as they demonstrate our instructional approach to problem solving. With that, I'd like to invite Anna Bennett and Sherry Lebowski to begin the demonstration.
Hi, everybody. As Mr. Severini mentioned, we've been deep into reading Peter Liliadal's Building Thinking Classrooms and all the research that goes into that work. And we just want to share a little bit about what that's going to be like, and then we're going to get to work. So Building Thinking Classrooms led Anna and I to transform our classroom environment into what we call the Math Lab, with lots of excitement built around that title. And we invite classrooms, all classrooms K to 5, come and visit the Math Lab throughout the school year. And in the Math Lab, we create experiences around the Building Thinking Classrooms ideas. So the goals of the Math Lab are to engage students actively into some math thinking, to build collaboration student to student, to enhance the teacher's work as questioners and investigators of the students' thinking. And what you're going to see in the philosophy of the Building Thinking Classrooms is an explore and discover and then consolidate model. So that will be students, you guys, are going to be exploring some math ideas, discovering some important big ideas, and then we're not going to get to that tonight, but usually the teachers will do some consolidation at the end.
At Willard in the Math Lab, we've really been focusing on this work so that we could bring out student thinking. We're really trying to create a culture where our mathematicians are thinkers, not just doers, and so that has been a big shift in our classrooms and stemming from the Math Lab. And what makes the Math Lab such a high leverage space for teachers and for kids is that when we're in there doing work, we as math coaches can not only push student thinking, but we can also coach the teachers simultaneously. So we're able to model things like how to question. So as we're questioning, we might pull a teacher up and have them listen in. We might model when to nudge student thinking or when to offer a math tool in which particular tool could be helpful. We might model how to support and challenge students so that the teaching is differentiated even though all students are starting with the same problem. And we might model when to give students a content boost or when to pull back, which can be a really hard thing to figure out when you're teaching. We might model how to orient students to each other so that as they're sharing their thinking, they're learning from each other, and also how to bring out the big ideas and make connections across math concepts and at the end of a lesson. And so tonight, all of you as our board members are going to be our students, and our 5th grade mathematical superstars here are going to serve as your teachers. And so you will engage in a math task that the 5th graders took on a few weeks ago, and as you're working, they will coach you the way that we and their teachers coach them in the classroom so that you get the full experience of what it's like to be in the math lab. Lucky you. And so, Lucian, you ready? Okay, Lucian's going to explain a little bit more. Go ahead.
So when you up there, you're going to get a card that has a number on it, and then there's going to be the same card at the board, and you're going to go to that board that has the same number on it. And when you get to that board with a different partner, there's going to be a marker and an eraser at the top. You are going to share that one marker with your partner, and you're going to share your mathematical thinking with each other while you're up there.
Awesome. So some of the key points that you just heard there are the cards. So we are using playing cards tonight, but there are lots of ways that we randomize groups. When students are put into a random group, they're more fully engaged. It promotes collaboration across the entire classroom instead of just partnering up with preferred peers. And that's really the point of the math lab, is the collaboration and shared thinking. Those whiteboards you see up there, the shared marker, the shared eraser, and the non-permanent vertical surfaces, as Building Thinking Classrooms refers to them, really promotes risk-taking and visible thinking and all those great things that we're looking for. So, without further ado.
So Quinn is going to read you your task. And another important part of Building Thinking Classrooms is that math tasks become stories. And so all students are able to engage in the story. And so Quinn is going to read it to you. And then we will give you your random card before you head on up to engage in the task. And the problem is up there. You'll get to see it when you head on up. But first, Quinn will share it with us.
The field trip. A 5th grade class traveled on a field trip in 4 separate cars. The school provided a lunch of submarine sandwiches for each group. When they stopped for lunch, the subs were cut and shared as follows. The first group had 4 people and shared 3 equal subs. The second group had 5 people and shared 4 subs equally. The third group had 8 people and shared 7 subs equally. And the last group had 5 people and shared 3 subs equally. When they returned from the field trip, the children began to argue that the distribution of sandwiches had not been fair, that some children got more to eat than others. Were they right, or did everyone get the same amount? Use these questions to guide you. 1. How much of a sub did each person get, assuming the pieces were cut equally? 2. Was the distribution fair? Did each person get the same amount?
All right, 5th graders, you want to go head up to your boards. And as soon as you get your card from Anna, you're going to head up to the stage. All of the boards will have a corresponding card that will match your card.
Aces over here. Aces. Do we have aces? Aces. First one. Oh. Aces left first. Yeah. Do you guys actually want to go? All right, you're good. You can tell them to get started.
And then we had
Did everyone get the same about? So,
7 divided by 8, 7 eighths.
and then it's gonna be 5
4
over 3,
vertical.
so 3 over 5.
And then,
Okay, so that's what we got so far.
So now, what does that mean? So this 3 out of 4. So, would you like fractions?
No, heck no.
Would you like percent?
5 people.
Look at percent.
75.
You look at percents yet?
Nope, we'll do fractions. Fractions, go ahead.
Let's do that for the math. Better than 8.
because there's 4 there and 3 there, the thing with Common Core math is it doesn't matter how you get to the end, we can have different processes, and that's what you and I have.
Ah, okay.
So half, that would be too many people.
How can you show that?
Yeah, 1 and 1/3.
All right, we're going to pause our brave mathematicians right here. Can everybody give them a hand for all their hard work? Yeah. Yep. Fifth grade coaches, if you want to come over here by me. And how about a hand for those fifth graders? All right. As you saw, the role of our student coaches tonight was to ensure that all of you, our brave mathematicians and learners, were the ones doing all the thinking. You were creating meaning tonight around these problems. We know that we stopped you partway through and you probably didn't finish all of your thinking, but we hope that this experience allowed you to feel what it feels like to engage in this type of rigorous mathematics. Typically, we finish our math lab lessons by having all the mathematicians gather around a board or two where we share our math thinking and we build connections and really draw out the big ideas. This is very powerful work for our students. They're able to negotiate meaning with each other around the mathematics, which solidifies that thinking for them moving forward in a way that us telling them would never do. So we hope that you were able to really feel that experience tonight. And thank you for being such good sports.
So at Willard, all students from kindergarten through fifth grade have the opportunity to come and work through the Building Thinking Classrooms model in the math lab. We believe fully that every student deserves an opportunity to engage in rigorous thinking the way you did today. And this was a perfect example, for those of you who can't see, of what it ends up looking like in a classroom. All 5 examples were done differently, thought about differently. We have a variety of fractions up there, some similar, some not so similar. Models were used, drawn, fraction bars were used. And so this type of experience from kindergarten all the way through 5th grade is very important for kids to develop their thinking. And I don't know if some of you saw, but there was some board sharing, which is called Borrowing Thinking and Building Thinking Classrooms. And that's one of the big goals of these vertical boards, whether you're 5 or 11, being able to share ideas and grow thinking from each other, rather than, as Sherry said, the teacher just telling. So that's a really important piece of it. And one of the most exciting parts for us has been watching this work transfer into the classrooms. It starts out in the lab, but then teachers take ownership over it. They make it even better and bring it out in their classrooms. So Jen is going to explain a little bit of that.
So Math Lab has raised the level of discourse in our classrooms. We use the power of these random groups in order for the kids to have more productive talk. They're focused on building meaning rather than just sharing ideas, which you saw up there today. Students have learned that every mathematician adds value and every person brings something important to the table. So I hope that our students felt that way today. Big ideas have been deepened in the classroom because the kids are taught to think in the math lab. So it's really transferred into all of our classrooms.
So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Wasn't my group. All right, thank you so much. Adam would like to have them announce the winner. Was there a winner? I would say it wasn't my group, but Peter might disagree. That was awesome, and I think that was really fun to engage in, and I think it would probably make a long math block really fun and engaging. The time flew by, and I was really impressed with how the students were able to get up there and push our thinking, ask questions to make us be able to explain our answers, and borrowing answers was encouraged, so that was necessary. So would anyone else like to share before we move on?
I'll just say, it just reminded me of how much I've forgotten. In board sharing, I guess is now what you call it. used to call that cheating, but I guess it's board sharing. But no, this is a great exercise, and again, visually, it's amazing to see how different people are, how different people see things, which is the same problem, but visually, it was a great exercise, so appreciate that.
Gina, did you have something you would like to share? As I was passing Gina on the stage.
I wanted to say that I wish that I had teachers like that when I was in school, learning math, because math was not one of my strongest subjects, and it was very rote, and it was either you knew it or you didn't, and there was no proving otherwise, and so it really lended itself to let kids really do some thinking, and it was a great experience to see them telling me, use this, use that, it's like, but I'm glad that I did it, so thank you for that.
Thanks, Gina.
I like that my teacher encouraged me. She didn't have, we were really bad. And so her best compliment, she's like, I like how you guys are working really well together. So it's very encouraging.
My teacher was very serious, pushing my thinking and asking all the questions for me to explain my thinking. My partner and I. It was well done.
I just think it's wonderful to watch students model what their teachers have said to them with other adults, and the level of comfort and the confidence they displayed working with adults in 5th grade. And as the comment that Tracy shared, you could hear comments from other students too, coaching adults. That's a great confidence that you need in life when you work with people. And to think of the teachers are those role models that are working with the students, building that confidence daily. So I thank you to the students for working with us and guiding us through the activity. It was very special, so thank you.
Would anyone else like to share before we move on? Okay. All right, well, thank you. You guys can go home. There's cookies in the back room. You can stay. You can, but you don't have to. You go home. There's cookies in the back for you. Thank you for coming out tonight. Yep, they're in the hallway by the door. But if you would like to stay, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much. So now Mark, Jamie here. 702. All right, so that was an excellent student presentation. I really enjoyed realizing how I don't know how to do fractions anymore. So we're going to move on to board member reports. I have a few things I would like to share, and then if any of the board members have things they would like to share, feel free. So I just received an email that our board has earned the CABE Board of Distinction Level 2. Only 8 boards in the state are being recognized for that at the CABE conference. So I think that speaks to all the great work that we're doing and continually seek for ways to improve. Level 1 is, I believe, what most boards get. You have to do less. So the fact that we are one of 8 earning the Board of Distinction. So if you do go to the CABE conference on Friday, we will get our picture with the commissioner, and maybe we'll end up in the Berlin Citizen or somewhere. We are also earning we have earned 2 communication awards for our communication in Berlin Public Schools. One with the board snapshot that we shared at the retreat in August and then sent out to the families, and the other is social media, and I believe that's what Nick is doing, right?
Yes.
Nick back there.
Good job, Nick.
Well done. So I'm excited that we will be earning 3 awards at this year's conference. While talking about the CABE conference, it is Friday, November 15th through the 16th. I hope that you guys can attend, even if it's only for one day. It's a great opportunity to network with other boards, spend time with your fellow board members, and learn some new stuff. We will be presenting on the 16th from 9:35 to 11:35. The conference session is Resolving Dissonance, the IPEC framework to improve boardroom cohesion and manage conflict. That's what I did. I was doing my research on for my doctorate, and then we did in our retreat setting. So Brian and I have worked on this presentation. Peter may or may not be there presenting on the IPEC component as he is trained in it in the healthcare sector, but we will determine that, he may or may not be there. And some other board members have also said that they are going to be there, and Debbie has registered them. So if you are able to attend and want to be a part of it, please let me know if you haven't let Cabe know already, and we need to send all the stuff off to Cabe, including the bio of presenters. So if you want to be there, just reach out. We're going to be setting up times in November to go over the presentation we've prepared. So that's on Cabe. Another thing that we've been talking a little bit about is doing a Robert's Rules of Order board workshop. So we're hoping to do that in November or December with Adam leaving. Someone's gonna fill that gap. So we are going to be engaging in a little professional development. Someone from Cabe will come out and do a 1-hour workshop for the board on that. Other stuff. So our Board of Ed School Security Forum was an absolute success. I think that it went really well. WTNH ran an excellent story which showcased all the things that Berlin Public Schools is doing and how much we care about school security. Turnout wasn't as, it wasn't very high, and the views on BHS TV YouTube weren't, like some of our other meetings, but that actually speaks to, I think the fact that parents do feel that their kids are safe and secure here in Berlin Public Schools. So, I view that as a positive thing, but it was good to get all the experts at the table and the stakeholders to share out on the measures and the true importance of school security in Berlin Public Schools. We've worked on our school security plans for a number of years, probably 7 years now, and really coming back to the table to make sure our schools are safe. So I was very happy with that. I did receive correspondence from Sal Bornero yesterday. I did not get to respond yet regarding the budget. He's the chair of the Board of Finance, so I will be responding hopefully this evening, if not tomorrow. And I'll be including Ashley and Brian on that. Just some budget questions as we wrap up this year and get, the 2024, but as we start our new budget season. And the last piece is I've been on a state working group appointed by Cabe regarding school district accountability index and grading practices. I attended the state meeting last month, and tomorrow we have a subcommittee meeting, so it's been interesting to see what we've been learning in that, looking at Berlin Public Schools and how well we're doing with certain things, and I'll be reporting out next time. That's what I have for board member reports. Do any other board members have anything they'd like to report on? Okay. Committee reports. Was there a curriculum meeting? No? Okay. And then Peter, would you like to share out on the F&O meeting?
We had an F&O meeting last week to discuss capital expenditures, and we'll be touching on that again later in the meeting.
Okay, and I skipped over the report of student representatives, so we're turning it over to you guys.
All right, so for our first thing is Spirit Week and Homecoming. So from October 21st to the 25th, BHS will be resuming its tradition of hosting our Spirit Week, where students participate in a variety of themes throughout the week and end it with a pep rally following the homecoming game on the 25th. On the 26th, the homecoming dance will take place at BHS, where students will be able to show support for BHS and where seniors will be reminded of the memories they've made.
Along with this, from the 19th to the 20th, Berlin Upbeat will be hosting their annual October weekend at Camp Jewel. This trip is designed to introduce students and staff to the program while also focusing workshops on how to work within a collaborative environment.
Next, on the 18th, the Music and Arts Department at BHS will be hosting their annual cabaret. This is an event where students are able to perform either as soloists or in group arrangements as a fundraiser for the department. The tickets are $10 and can be purchased either online or at the door.
Along with this year's fall play will be taking a modern twist on the classic Shakespearean Macbeth.
An interesting aspect of this performance that should be noted is the audience will actually be sitting on stage. Performances will be on November 1st and 2nd in the BHS Auditorium, and tickets are available on the Singing Redcoats link above.
Next, on October 17th, the Model UN Club will be taking a day trip to New York City where they will be meeting the ambassador for Poland, the country they're representing at the Model UN conference. During this time, students will ask questions about the country's policies as well as what Poland's stance is on certain issues in order to get a hands-on understanding of international relations.
This year, Red Sea has placed a greater emphasis on the diverse range of clubs and extracurricular activities available at BHS. Each week, a different club hosts an activity for students, encouraging engagement and showcasing the incredible opportunities BHS provides.
And that is all that we have for tonight.
Thank you so much. We do not have a CREC report this evening and no correspondence to the board. We're going to move on to audience of citizens. Would anyone like to approach the board? Okay, no one's left. Personnel, moving to the first order of business, appointment of principal for Catherine McGee Middle School. Do we have a motion for consideration?
I move that the Board of Education appoint Christopher Sullivan to the position of principal of Catherine M. McGee School, effective date to be determined.
Do we have a second? So motion by Tracy, second by Gina. Any discussion?
No discussion other than saying what an outstanding job you did during the interview process. I mean, we were kind of in a tough spot, as you can imagine, but I was saying to Brian beforehand, I think we're extremely fortunate. I think McGee is extremely fortunate to have you, and I think the district is going to be stronger. So we appreciate your willingness to come to Berlin.
Okay.
Having an opportunity to know you, Chris, when you applied 10 years ago as assistant principal to McGee, and you were a finalist at that point, and to have an opportunity to come back to the district, we're very fortunate to have you, and we look forward to you when you have the opportunity to leave East Hampton to start here in Berlin. So I'm looking forward to that. If there's no one else who doesn't have an opportunity to speak.
Yeah, let's make the vote first.
Okay,
Let's make it real.
Let's make it real.
All right. Anyone else want to share before we vote? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The vote is 8-0. All right, well, congratulations. You are now officially the principal of McGee. This is really exciting. I was really excited after the interview the other night, and all I could think about was with kids that are 1.5 and 4 is I can't wait for my kids to go to McGee. So it's really exciting. Would you like to share a few words? You can go up to the podium. We'll really put you on the spot. I hope you're prepared a speech. I'm kidding.
First off, I'd like to thank Superintendent of this wonderful district for the opportunity to speak and interview for the position. Mr. Benigni, the Board of Education, the administrative team, and the team of staff that met with me through this important process. I just want to introduce who I brought here tonight. My wife, Rachel, who's an educator in West Hartford, my son, Grady, who's a 5th grader, and my son, Callum, who is a 7th grader. But I'm very excited to partner with the community, partner with staff and students, and start this next chapter of excellence at McGee Middle School. So thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. All right. You guys don't have to say if you don't want. There's cookies. There might not be any left.
A lot of the administrators came to support Chris.
Do you want to share that?
Special thank you to those administrators that came to support Chris this evening. It's great that you stayed for the board meeting, and if you'd like to leave the board meeting, I just asked Julia. She said it's okay.
You can. There might not be cookies left,
Adam may
though.
say no, but Julia said yes, and she's the chair, so please, thank you all for
Adam
coming.
says Mrs. Lena can't go.
You have a little walk home tonight for your last board meeting, Adam.
Feel free to go, though. No, really. All right. Moving on to retirements. Jennifer Basso, teacher of mathematics at Berlin High School, has submitted her letter of intent to retire at the end of the 2024-2025 school year. Do we have a motion for consideration?
I'll move that the board accept the retirement of Jennifer Basso, teacher of mathematics at Berlin High School, effective June 30th, 2025. Also to thank her for her 27 years of service that she has provided to the youth of Berlin and wish her good health and happiness in her retirement years.
Do we have a second?
I second.
So motion by Adam, second by Tracy. Any discussion?
I've got to make a comment. Jen Basso is an outstanding teacher that my children have had. Very rigorous, tough teacher. But I always think about my oldest daughter, Olivia, who's now a math minor at Providence College, talking about how well Mrs. Basso, prepared her for her college life and the rigors of having a math minor in college. So she's an outstanding teacher. She'll certainly be missed.
Any other discussion?
I just want to second that. My son just started his freshman year at UC Irvine, and he actually just took his second calculus test today. And he, Mrs. Basso is his favorite math teacher, and he said that things that he learned in her classroom prepared him for today's quiz, which was not easy. So he was sad to learn that both her and Mr. Basso are leaving, Dr. Basso. So but I'm glad that both my children were able to have both of them, so that's fantastic, but I wish them well.
Thank you. Anything else?
I had the opportunity to have a quick discussion at conferences last week with her, and what I came out of there with was that she doesn't just care about the material for the class, but she really, really cares about the kids and setting them up for a future of clearly what your kids have seen. So we got her in the last year, and we're excited.
Anything else? All right, we can move to a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 8-0. Moving on to our second retirement at BHS, David Basso, teacher of social studies at Berlin High School, has submitted his letter of intent to retire at the end of the 2024-2025 school year. Do we have a motion for consideration?
I'll move that the board accept the retirement of David Basso, teacher of social studies at Berlin High School, effective June 30th, 2025. Also to thank him for the 27 years of service he's provided to the youth of Berlin and wish him good health and happiness in his retirement years.
Do we have a second?
I second.
So the motion by Adam, second by Tracy. Any discussion?
Again, Dr. Basso, I knew him when he was just Dave Basso, or Boss to all of us, growing up together. I mean, we went to school together since I think our days at McGee. Went to school together, played sports together, graduated together, been lifelong friends, and he's obviously telling me that I'm too slow to retire because he's already doing it ahead of me. But a wonderful friend, wonderful educator. He's poured his life into it. State championship basketball coach, Connecticut State Teacher of the Year. He is also in the National Teachers Hall of Fame, I believe it is. I think, a wonderful career. We were fortunate to have him in Berlin, fortunate to have him as a friend for all these years as well. So certainly wish him well.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Move to a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Vote carries 8-0. Moving on to Mr. D, who is retiring from Griswold, has submitted his letter of intent to retire at the 2024-2025 school year. I have no idea how to pronounce the last name because everyone just calls him Mr. D. So, Adam, are you going to make the motion?
Sure. I'll move that the board accept the retirement of James Mr. D, teacher of kindergarten at Mary E. Griswold School, effective June 30th, 2025. Also to thank him for his 20 years of service he has provided to the youth of Berlin and wish him good health and happiness in his retirement years.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
So the motion by Adam, second by Tracy. Any discussion?
I've got to go 3 for 3. Thinking of Mr. D, and we were fortunate all 3 of our daughters had Mr. D in kindergarten when Ms. Jerpin was principal. And I'm always reminded of Robert Fulgham wrote the book, All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. And I think of Mr. D often because he was a big part of our children, their growth, their academic experience, and it all started on the right foot with Mr. D. So he'll be greatly missed, And if he's listening or watching, we still have one of those little frogs that he made us count with at home with the kids. He'll know exactly what that is, but, you know, just a special person in our heart, and he'll definitely be missed.
Any other discussion? All right, move to a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 8-0. Moving on to the consent agenda. It is in your packet. It is all there. Do we have a motion for consideration?
I'll make a motion to move that the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion by Gina. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jen. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Okay, we can move to a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Vote carries 8-0. Moving on to new business. So we are going to talk about the district enrollment report, which has been enclosed with the agenda.
Yes, if you take a look at the district enrollment chart, we're a reduction of 50 students or 1.9%. Of that, 20 students are at the high school level. They're dispersed across all of the grade levels in schools. It's not as though we just have 50 students. When people see a reduction, they often think, well, 50 students, that's 2 classrooms, that's 2 teachers or 3 teachers. When they're dispersed across the building, that often doesn't work like that. It doesn't mean a reduction in staff. It's a reduction in total students, and it's not as though they're in one grade level and so on. So with that being said, our class sizes at the elementary school are still towards the upper level that we typically have, meaning that, you know, some of them are very close to 20 at the primary grade levels, which is not where we used to be, but it's where we've been recently. So I just want to make sure that people's attention is drawn to that.
Any questions on the district enrollment report? Okay. Choice report.
Choice report. This year, we offered 14 seats. Of the 14 seats, we were able to fill 11 of those 14. We still have 3 seats available. At this time, there's no one waiting in the lottery for those seats. The thought that we'll be able to fill those seats is not likely. Our ratio or a percentage of choice students to total population is at about 3.5% this year, which was below the 4%. We've not been at 4% now for 3 years, and we've been operating within the 3%. So we're staying with our philosophy of accepting students at the K level. If you look at the chart, you'll see a student at 4th grade, a student at 8th grade, and a student at 10th. If they have siblings and we accept them, then oftentimes if we have room, we'll accept a sibling in a different grade level. But it's not as though, you know, we're accepting a 5th grader and they have a sibling in K. It's meaning we're taking a K student and they have a sibling in another grade level, we may take them if we have room. So that's where you get the 14 students.
Great, thank you. Any questions on the choice report? Okay, moving on. So co-directors of curriculum and instruction, Lori Gerbin and Kara Watson, are going to present the following textbook for adoption, Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds, to the board. So if you would like to, one of you or Lori Gerbin, come on down.
So at our curriculum meeting last week, we proposed the text Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds to be added to 9th grade English class. And I don't know, Gina, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, we had the curriculum meeting last Monday regarding the text. It's not a textbook, it's a novel, right? Novel. And it's written by Jason Reynolds. And the book, the central conflict is about a teenage boy named Will, who's grappling with a decision of whether or not to seek revenge for his brother's murder. So it's a pretty riveting story. The premise is pretty dark, but it's got a lot of substance to it. If you look at the book and when you open it up, it's written in a format that's very much like a play. It doesn't have a lot of words on the page, so initially I thought, oh, this looks very easy, but because it's written in almost like play form, it's shorter, so it's not as overwhelming for students, and I think that's probably why they really like it, because they can get through it without getting overwhelmed by a lot of words. But anyway, it takes place in an elevator. The whole premise is on an elevator, ride down to the street where Will has to make a decision whether or not to take out revenge on the person who killed his brother. And so it parallels well with the Romeo and Juliet that they will be reading. So this book comes before the Romeo and Juliet. So it's very parallel to conflict that happens with Will and the conflict that goes on with Romeo and Juliet with the families that we all know about, the Montagues and the Capulets, and the long history of violence and revenge in that story, and Will brings that in this story. So I think it was a good addition. It's not a replacement, so it's a nice, as again, it kind of is in tandem to Shakespeare, and the fact that it falls before, I think will be a good segue for the students to get ready for it, for Shakespeare. So I thought it was pretty interesting. Did I cover it?
This is a text that has been used for choice with small groups in the past, and it has been very engaging for students, and that's why they wanted to make it a whole class text.
Do we have, thank you. I'm going to just put a motion on the floor, and then we can open up for discussion. So just stay there. Do we have a motion for consideration?
I'll move to adopt the textbook Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds and published by Athenaeum Caitlin Louis Books.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Motion by Adam, second by Tracy. Now we can open up for discussion. Gina, did you read the book?
No.
Oh, that was a great description.
I went on the internet.
Yeah, no.
Made sure that I had, a good synopsis. And
That was a
the
great
curriculum
synopsis.
committee gave us, a good background of it, and they explained that there was some violence, but it wasn't really graphic, and there was no sexualization. So, Brian was at the meeting, and he made sure we covered those bases.
Great.
Got it out there. So, yeah, very interesting.
Thank you.
Interesting stuff.
Thanks for your synopsis. It was very detailed. Does anyone else have any questions or comments or anything related to discussion before we move to a vote? Well, thank you, Lori, for coming up and explaining it and going through it with the committee. All right, moving to a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, did everyone vote? Yeah, okay, 8-0. Moving on to our facilities update. Ashley Dorsey will provide a facilities update on the approval of requests for capital funding. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, there are two separate things. So go ahead with the facilities update first.
Okay. So there are really just a few for this month. The Griswold seclusion room is still under construction. The door frame and the doors were installed over the Berlin Fair weekend. Door hardware and finishing is expected to be completed in the upcoming weeks. We did have a delay on the flooring material. What we had originally decided on the floors has been discontinued, so we had to go back to the manufacturer and get a new flooring. That has since been selected, and the wall pads have been ordered and will be installed upon delivery. The central office renovation is still underway. A majority of the construction type work, so the replacement of the lights, ceiling tiles, ceiling grids have been completed. There was an issue with the original company for who we were using for FF&E. They just weren't responsive to our needs, so we have since then disengaged service with them, and we have engaged a furniture company to get us the cabinetry that we're going to need. Again, this is all stemming from the PD department taking over the storage area over in the Board of Ed and losing a significant amount of storage. The Willard HVAC project is in its final stretch. The upcoming weeks, they'll be tying up any kind of loose ends. Balancing will be the balancing of the mechanicals has begun on October 7th, and it will continue through this week. Commissioning and site restoration will be beginning in the next couple weeks. And there has also been some movement on the Griswold and Hubbard HVAC projects. The architects and engineering firms have been conducting their site visits periodically to prepare final design and prepare for the bidding process. That's what I have for facilities updates. Any questions?
Just one question. With Hubbard and Griswold for their HVAC, will they be taking place simultaneously, or are they going to be staged in phases?
I don't think that's been determined yet. However, due to the availability of grant funds, I don't see how they cannot do them simultaneously,
Yeah.
but there is a concern with contractor availability, material, and everything else. The grant still is expected to expire in December 31st of 2025. So if we are not underway by then, we're at risk of losing funding. I do also think that the state realizes with all the grants coming out that they're going to have to extend, because again, the availability of contractors is going to be a problem for most districts.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, moving on to the approval request for capital funding. So Ashley's going to report on the status of the current projects that involve the use of capital funds. We had an F&O committee meeting last week about it. So let's have her present, and then before we start asking questions, we'll do a motion, and then we'll open it up for discussion.
So the process of the capital funding or the capital planning for fiscal year 26 has changed from previous fiscal years, in that everything that goes on to the capital plan within the first 10 years has to be presented to the town council and approved. Whereas in the past, you kind of just throw it up onto the capital plan, it goes on the capital plan. If it is not approved by the town council, then it goes into the 11 through 20 of the plan, and it's kind of just sits there until it becomes more of an urgent need. The process for receiving capital requests remain the same for us over at central office, where we surveyed all the building principals and department heads to make sure that they have the opportunity to tell us what they need in their buildings. So the F&O committee met on October 9th to discuss all the requests that were submitted. Most of the requests included construction and building projects, safety and security, and equipment. Similar to how the requests were submitted to the board last year, we broke down the requests into priority versus all other requests. All other requests will remain on the list if other funding sources are identified to move forward with. Those are typically smaller ticket items that we could maybe take advantage of through grant funding or any kind of savings funding if there's any available. There are 3 priority requests for fiscal year 2026, and that is the McGee Science Lab, the lavatory upgrades to all elementary schools, and the upgrade to the McGee Auditorium. We've already started the process for the McGee Science Lab. We started that last year with a statement of need, approval of town council, and referral to the PBC. There's been a little bit of movement there. We have to go for an RFP to do an additional study, statement of need for the McGee Science Lab, so we'll keep you posted as that continues to develop. The 2 other projects will follow a similar process in the upcoming months. I'm working with facilities to come up with a conceptual design estimate for the lavatories and for the auditorium, so we could get it onto the agenda of the town council for approval and referral to the PBC. Upon that, statements of need will also be coming your direction. Any questions?
All right, let's move to a motion for consideration, then we'll open it up. Do we have a motion?
I move that the board approve the request for capital funding as presented for submission to the town of Berlin.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Motion by Adam, second by Tracy. Now, do we have any questions or comments?
We kind of went through this, during our F&O committee. I don't think there's anything on here that's not worthy of being funded. It's just some of the priorities, and again, we've been talking about the McGee Science Labs for years. I don't think they've changed since I was in the school there. And really, the elementary bathrooms, I know that we tried doing the deep cleaning at one point, and it's not adequate. They need to be renovated. And then, McGee, the auditorium is a focal point that's utilized for a lot of different events as well. But I'm hoping that we can try to get some other projects, whether it's end-of-year funds or some carryover funds, things like that, because like I said, I don't think there's anything on here that does not deserve to be on here and be funded.
Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, move to a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, 8-0. So the last meeting, our September 9th meeting, we discussed, thank you, Ashley, for that, all that info. At our last meeting, we discussed the board's Facebook page. We're going to need to take that out with the vote. So that's not on this agenda, but I just wanted to cycle back and see if anyone had anything to add to that now that you've given it some thought. The snapshot, anything else regarding the Community Engagement Committee meeting that we talked about that we would revisit this meeting? So is there anything that anyone would like to add any afterthoughts to regarding these topics? Okay. Yep. Okay, so no one wanted to add to that because everyone's been waiting for the Walter update after the board dinner we just had. Walter's not here anymore though, right? It's past his bedtime? Yeah, he worked really hard today, so we're gonna turn it over to Griswold Schools Principal Jonathan Campbell to
I
talk.
apologize, Walter couldn't be here tonight. He needs to sleep for his big day tomorrow. So Walter began officially working September 12th at Griswold, and he started working half days to get acclimated. Believe it or not, there can be dog burnout, according to the trainer, so we really wanted to make sure it was successful as possible. Beginning October 1st, he's now been working full-time at Griswold, and there's been tremendous support for Walter within the community. They've really embraced him. Evidence of this is we've had 0 full opt-out of families for students not being available to meet with Walter. We also have partial opt-outs, so they're in the room, they just might not physically interact with him, which we have less than 5 of those, but all families have allowed their kids to interact with him in some capacity, and we're working on ways to increase that for those partial opt-outs. So that's really exciting. And then each day, Walter's offered on-demand support a minimum to 1 to 3 times, where unexpectedly we will either find students in emotional distress in the hallway, maybe they're crying or working with an adult and it's clear we need to get Walter to help, or maybe we get a call from a case manager or teacher that says, is Walter available? We could really use his assistance right now. And he's been able to intervene in those situations and help regulate their emotions in a matter of seconds. It's quite amazing. He's offered comfort to a student whose parent was hospitalized. He's offered support to a child who experienced the loss of an important family member. He has helped celebrate end-of-day rewards for students who have successfully met their goals that they've worked on individually. And then some really cool things. We've had several students who greatly struggle to separate from their parents, especially our younger students in the morning, as well as a couple older students too. And Walter's been used to help escort those kids into the building. He's actually got a little handle as part of his harness where the students can hold on to that, and they are the ones walking them into the building, and that's been a huge hit. We've had one student who at times is hysterical, does not want to leave the car. I was called out there to assist after there were some other adults trying to assist, and they just couldn't get the student inside. So I brought Walter out to the car. The student still refused. Walter actually jumped into the car with the student, and I mean, it was probably 30 seconds after that I was walking the student into the school, and he had a smile on his face, and it was successful the rest of the day. There's been 3 instances working with students where we were unable to de-escalate those children with adult support alone. Based on experience either with those kids or similar situations last year, we likely would have needed to utilize a seclusion or restraint, which is a last resort thing that sometimes we have to do. We were able to bring Walter into the location of the student in those instances and not only successfully de-escalate those students, they were also able to return to their regular classroom that day. He's encouraged students to write more and read more. We have a student who is not in kindergarten, I'll leave it at that, but is a very low reader, doesn't read very well at all, and this child worked so hard to be able to read a book so that he could go spend time with Walter and read that book to Walter, and he was successful with that. Our math interventionists have also come up with some really cool ideas where we are incorporating a math lab to help reduce math anxiety and help students set goals around Walter where they will be supporting classroom teachers in this classroom we have designated for Walter, and it's going to be centered around math with story problems and different ideas that they have. So it's really come together very, very nicely. And then Blue Path, where Walter was trained, they continue to provide support. They've actually visited us twice already since school has begun to work with the handlers, provide ongoing support, and then they've got another date set up, I think it's next week, where they'll be coming back. So they've been, living up to what they said that they would do and providing all of that support, as well as phone support, email support, to be able to bounce ideas off of. So it's been a really great success. Anyone that would like to come see him in action, I encourage you to come on in. I would love for you to do that. So,
Thank you.
any questions?
Any questions? He was really cute tonight.
He's fantastic.
Yeah,
maybe you might not want to come see him, because then you're gonna, if you have dogs, or you're gonna want a dog if you don't. So he's kind of a perfect dog, but perfect for Griswold.
It was really cute tonight when he was recognized at our new staff dinner. And then as I was supposed to give a little speech, I couldn't because someone was wiping his mouth clean. It was really cute. So he's really cute. Yeah, I'm really happy to hear the report. Anything else about Walter? Okay, so in Schoology, the board goals were posted. At our next meeting, we're going to continue to discuss these because it's going to be a new board, and even with one board member, the composition changes. So please make sure you've reviewed them and you start thinking about them. And then we are going to be reviewing them. Our committee goals, and at our December, January board retreat, we're going to spend more time on it. But we want to put it on the radar. We want to put it out there because we want the board to really spend some time thinking about it, wrapping their heads around it. Tracy and Adam had suggested that we should revise our mission statement at our next retreat, but I think they were just being facetious because this is their last meeting. So, so anyhow, that is in terms of board goals. So moving on to negotiations, I need a motion for consideration to enter into executive session. Do we have a motion?
For the purpose of discussion regarding negotiations with the Association of Berlin Administrators, and invite Ashley Dorsey, Denise Parsons, and Brian Benigni.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
So the motion by Gina, second by Jen. All those in favor? Oh, aye.
Just for discussion.
Discussion.
I'm going to not enter into executive session due to my wife's employment.
Are you going to be staying for the adjournment, or are you going to be leaving?
I might be leaving.
Okay, so we can say that Adam is leaving at 7:43. Any other discussion? Adam, we wish you well. We're going to miss you. Tracy, you too. I just don't want to forget it at the end of the meeting, and it's on the record. So we are going to be meeting in the upbeat room, so everyone just head over there. We will have a nice, quick executive session, and we will vote and close this meeting out. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? 8-0, moving into executive session.